3 shootings. One day. Omaha, Nebraska, June 2026. But this wasn't a random surge. This was predictable. This was seasonal. And it's happening in cities across America right now. Welcome back to Crime Intel Daily. I'm your host, and today we're not investigating a single crime, we're investigating a pattern. On June 17, the Omaha Police Department responded to 3 separate shooting incidents within 24 hours. That's not anomalous. That's a symptom. A symptom of something criminologists have documented for decades. Summer violence spikes are real, measurable, and preventable. But why does the temperature rise when the thermometer does? And what can we learn from cities that have cracked the code? Let's start with the data. Across the United States, violent crime increases by an average of 10 to 15% during summer months compared to winter. Homicides peak in July and August. Gun violence follows temperature curves so closely that criminologists can predict surges by looking at weather forecasts. In Omaha this week, we saw that pattern in real time. 3 separate incidents. 3 separate neighborhoods. 3 separate sets of investigators. But were they connected? Initial reports suggested different motives, different circumstances, different suspect profiles. Yet they happened in the same 24-hour window during the deadliest season. The Violence Prevention Organization responding to OPD's statements emphasized this critical point. Summer poses heightened risk because the conditions are already present. More people outdoors. More gatherings. More opportunity. More tension. The question isn't whether violence will spike, it's whether we're prepared when it does. But the biggest revelation was yet to come. When we examined prevention strategies in cities that have successfully reduced summer violence spikes, one factor emerged: community intervention during off-peak times. Cities like Richmond, California, and New Orleans have deployed credible messengers, people with lived experience in violence, into neighborhoods during spring, before summer peaks. They interrupt conflicts before they escalate. They provide alternatives during peak risk hours. Stockton, California reported year-over-year crime decreases in May 2026 by implementing exactly this model. They didn't wait for summer. They got ahead of it. Contrast that with reactive policing, which Omaha and other cities have relied on historically. 3 shootings in one day means 3 crime scenes, 3 investigations, 3 sets of overwhelmed resources, all responding after violence has already occurred. The systemic failure isn't in investigation capacity. It's in prevention infrastructure. OPD's response to these incidents was professional and swift. But prevention organizations are asking the harder question: why aren't we funding the infrastructure that stops bullets before they're fired? Here's what the data tells us about seasonal violence prevention. Research from the American Violence Prevention Institute shows that every dollar spent on credible messenger programs and community intervention prevents approximately $3 in healthcare and criminal justice costs. Yet summer funding for prevention typically decreases, budgets are spent. Community centers close or reduce hours. Recreation programs get cut. Meanwhile, the conditions that drive violence intensify. Young people with fewer options. Boredom as a gateway to conflict. Neighborhood tension rising. Gang activity increasing. And police departments stretched thin, managing the consequences rather than preventing them. The 3 shootings in Omaha weren't failures of investigation, they were failures of prevention planning. That's not a criticism of OPD. It's a systems-level analysis. No police department can investigate their way out of a seasonal violence spike. They can only manage it. But communities that invest in spring intervention, summer programming, and year-round conflict resolution see measurable declines. So what's the takeaway? Summer violence isn't inevitable. It's predictable. It's measurable. And it's preventable if cities treat prevention as seriously as they treat investigation. The 3 shootings in Omaha this week are part of a pattern that criminologists predicted. The question now is whether those data points lead to systemic change or if we'll see the same pattern repeat next June. Crime Intel Daily returns tomorrow with a deep dive into a specific case. Subscribe for daily investigations. Which seasonal crime trend should we analyze next? Comment below, and let's keep the conversation going.